Welcome to Toth Outdoor Productions, where the hunting seasons come and go, but the memories last a lifetime. Hey guys, and welcome to Toth Outdoor Productions. We're changing up a little bit today, and we are going to do a little more tutorial video, and probably going to do a couple of these segment-wise. We're going to try and break them down, turkey hunting 101, 102, and so on and so forth. But when we started looking, I was actually researching some stuff on YouTube the other day, and it kind of got my attention that there's not a ton of videos out there for just simple, if you don't know anything about turkey hunting and you want to learn. So I'm going to try and do a real short video just to fill you in. I know it's a growing sport, and we want to make sure to help people as they continue to learn, just like we had to do. So we've been turkey hunting now for right around 15-20 years. We've learned a lot of stuff, and we'd like to share it with you. But for today, we're going to start with the very basics. So if you're already hunting turkeys, there's probably nothing in this video. It'll be the next one or the next one where you might find something of value. But if you're brand new to the turkey hunting sport, we're going to help you out right here in this video. So let's start very simple. How do we hunt turkeys? First thing, find some turkeys. You can, a couple different methods of scouting. A lot of times what we like to do is look for them in the fields. Typically a couple hours after daylight, couple hours before dark. You can find them feeding in fields. If you're in big timber spots, a lot of times they're pretty vocal in the morning and same at night. So that's something to keep in mind as you look for turkeys. When to hunt them. Traditionally we like to hunt them at sunrise. The birds, as they start to wake up in the trees, will make hen noises and gobble, and they'll do a lot of gobbling, and that can really key you in as to where they're staying. So most of the time you'll find on a particular, we have farms, and I don't even have to scout those farms now that we've been hunting them for 10 years, because I know that the birds will be in this general area. So, I mean, I don't want to say you can wait until daylight when they start gobbling or calling on the roost and then move a half a mile to them. You want to be very close. You have to remember the turkey's greatest survival method is its eyesight. So, being in there in the dark is a huge key factor, but there is a small window of time that typically the birds will start talking, and it is yet the forest floor is dark enough that you can get in and get close enough to set up on a bird. So something to think about as far as if you can find birds and you don't have time to scout them before you go again, there's a good chance them birds are in the same area. They tend to find a certain trees or low spots, high spots, pine trees, things like that, and they'll stay pretty much there throughout the season. Now, you do find the occasional tom that's traveling around looking for hens, and he will roost in different spots, but general rule of thumb, they'll be where they were today, tomorrow. So keep that in mind as you start turkey hunting. So now I'd like to go over a little bit of, I'm sorry, I have a cheat sheet because I want to make sure to get everything in here. So let's go over the gear side of it. So for us, we have expounded a little bit off of just using a shotgun. My wife uses a 20 gauge that we've tweaked. She's a smaller frame person or hunter, so it makes it a lot nicer for her. You wouldn't think a 20 gauge is effective for turkeys, but let me tell you this. If you put the right shell in the right 20 gauge with the right choke tube, they are a mean little gun with little to no recoil. If you're a younger person or smaller framed and you don't want a big cannon that's going to rock your world, it's definitely worth looking into the 20 gauge. The boys and I, we like to stick to the 12 gauge just for those weird scenarios where there might be a small piece of foliage between you and the bird, or you know, we like to tackle those hard-headed, really pressured turkeys. And they might hang up at the longer distances, so we stick with a 12 gauge. I'm currently shooting a Remington 870 Turkey Edition with a 26-inch barrel, 3.5-inch Magnum with a jelly head choke tube in it from Primo's, and we're running the Winchester XR ammo. The ammo is a little more expensive, but I highly recommend it if you're going to be doing any kind of the maxing your yardage with your shotgun. They're worth the extra $1. My brother used an Indian Creek with a Mossberg 12 gauge, another awesome choke tube combination, absolutely destroys. Now, what I will tell you is the tighter you make that pattern, the longer of range you get, but the better of a shot you better be if that bird would happen to come to 15 yards. I mean, you have to think you're taking a gun that has the capability to shooting 60, backing it clear up to 15, and you're literally looking at a path of BBs this wide, and so you don't want to be very far off that turkey when you squeeze the trigger. Some other gear ideas that we would carry in our bags. I sat down with the boys before we did this video. I said, okay, now everybody put your input in. If you could only pick certain items to take in the woods with you, what would you want to ensure that you could kill a bird? And these are the items we come up with. A good pair of binoculars. You'll be shocked if you hunt with any amount of fields, the amount of times through the season that you'll see a bird across the field and you're trying to decide whether to make a move, set up again on this turkey, or just wait it out, and the binoculars save you a lot of time. Could be a hen, could be a jake, and you're not wanting to shoot one of those, and the binocular just really helps roll out the questions for that. We typically use a hat, just a ball cap, for the fly downs in the morning. So I actually have a turkey wing that we kept off of a previous bird, and we use that as well. So it's something to keep. It really doesn't take much. You want to hear a kind of fly down motion, like something of that sort, to insinuate a bird coming out of the tree. So anything, use your imagination. I really think the turkey wing sounds the best, but if we happen to forget it, the ball cap, just beating it on your leg, does a really good job as well. All right, so the turkey vest, it's not a necessity, but you'll find it very convenient when you start trying to cram. As you progress as a turkey hunter, you're going to get more stuff, more calls. I have these 3 mouth calls in front of me, and I'll touch on that later, and I'll tell you why I do carry a lot of times more than those 3 in my bag. So turkey vest is definitely something to think about. Now, camo is a given. I mean, the birds, I had an old timer tell me one time, just think about it like this. They can see your eye blink at 100 yards. So concealment is everything when you're hunting turkeys. You can make noise, you can not make the right call, you can do all of these mess ups, but you cannot make much movement, and you have to get rid of any of your fluorescent colors or anything like that. So a good camo pattern. Now, something I want to touch on for beginners, and a lot of people don't use these, and it kind of confuses me. When you're getting into a sport, it's common that you're going to make some mistakes, okay? It's common that as you learn as a hunter how to go after this specific species, that you are going to make those little mistakes. The bird's going to come in sideways or backwards or something like that. A blind, which a lot of people are using, but I talked to quite a few that don't ever use them, and for the $60 that you can pick up the very cheap low-end blind, they are worth every dollar. I mean, we run a mixture of them. We have blinds that we leave for archery season that are a little cheaper than we have our ones that we carry in our bags that go on just about, I would say 80% of our turkey hunts are from a blind. There is no problem when it comes to hunting turkeys. You can flop that thing right up in the middle of a field, stake it down, and we like to give it a day to set. A lot of people don't even. They can just get in them and hunt them, but especially if you put them on a wood line or in the timber and give them a little bit of break up, brush them in just a little bit, they are absolutely phenomenal. And you can literally be eating breakfast in this thing and be turkey hunting at the same time. They're awesome. If you're a beginner and you're getting into this and you want to be successful, I highly recommend the blind option. We use it for kids and new people that are getting into the sport because it's just hard to wrap your head around that the animal you're hunting literally can see your eyes blink at 100 yards. So something to think about with the blinds. All right, now calls. This is where it gets interesting. There are a million options for calls, but basically you're looking at 4 categories, and I actually don't have the one here. So you have a box call like this. This is a one-sided box call or double-sided box call. I keep it with me all the time. I don't use it a ton. Now, what I do use it for is this box call is extremely loud and is great for locating birds. So let me just do this for you, and you can get the idea. I mean, this thing really puts the sound out there. You get a windy day, or you're really trying to push that sound down the hollow or up onto the ridge. This call will do it great. This is an HS strut call that I've probably had for 10 or 15 years. I think it cost me $15 at Walmart. It's the closer one. The title of the call is Closer. It works great. It's waterproof. I've beat on this thing to get a turkey fired up, and it just keeps on producing every year. So there's a lot nicer ones out there. There's custom calls and all that, but at the moment this one works good for me, and that's what I've stuck with and I continue to use. Then the other option, you have a slate call or pot call, glass call. All represent the same thing. You have a striker, could be fiberglass, wooden, and I know there's more of them, but I can't think of it at the moment. So these are nice calls. They're easy to learn on, but I will tell you this, you're hunting an animal that can see your eye blink at 100 yards. So imagine this, you're calling a bird in, he's gobbling, you're calling, and you're sitting beside a tree with your gun on your lap because you can't hold 2 things at once. Makes a great sound. But it's not real reasonable when you're trying to aim your gun, call the bird in, and make this noise all at one time. So that's where my main calling, a lot of the calling I do comes in. I use mouth calls. They take a little longer to get used to. They take longer to learn. They're not as simple as picking them up and making noise with them. But if I can do it, you can do it, and it's worth every dollar once you figure it out. 10, 15 bucks. We personally use these Tom Teaser custom calls. They have a website and videos on every call that they produce, and they're awesome. You can hear what they sound like. They're good calls. They hold up. And I'll use one here. This is my favorite one here, and I'll make a couple clucks with this one so you can hear the general idea. But nice part about these is, so I'll locate a bird with this call. If he's been hunted a lot and pressured, a lot of people do use the mouth call, so I might try a little bit of this. This is more of your quiet, just calm calling here. And then the mouth call really does it all. It doesn't quite have the volume as the box call, but in general you can get a lot of noise out of this thing, or you can close your mouth down and really minimize that noise if you're trying to coax that bird the last 80 or 100 yards. So if I was looking for a bird in the timber, this is what I would do. Something like that. Couple clucks, a yelp sequence. The call, this one's brand new. I'm still breaking this one in, so, but worth your time. It's worth learning. If you're going to get into this and do this for the rest of your life hunting turkeys, you're going to want to know how to mouth call. So I think I've covered the call section. If I missed anything for calling and you're interested and have questions, I'm not real good at watching my phone on a daily basis, but if you leave a question in the comments, I'll make sure to get back to you and try to help you as much as I can answer that. As far as the decoys go, you have a couple options. They range anywhere from $20 to, I think, a Dave Smith decoy, which is, in my mind, is the Cadillac style. It's $140 or $50 for one. If I had to buy just one decoy, and that was what my budget allowed, I would buy the hen first. Now, something to think about when hunting with just a hen decoy. You're hunting a male turkey in the spring, that's what we're referring to. So this bird, the male, is going to get close, but not super close. He wants to stay that distance to where he can show off to his newfound lady friend. So if you want to be up close and personal, you're going to struggle a little more with just a hen decoy. Now, what I have found is a lot of your older birds, they've been hunted, they've been shot at, they've been missed, they've been called in and spooked, and they tend to come to a hen better than the typical Jake hen setup. I mean, you've seen on TV, that's the typical, they'll have a Jake and a hen, because for that reason the Jake gets the long beard, or the male will get in his face, get right up close and personal. So if I'm hunting with just a hen, what I typically like to do is put that for a general rule of thumb at 10 yards. I mean, it's super close, but you have to remember that bird is not going to come right to that decoy. He's going to stay out a little bit, strut, show his dominance, and try to win her over to where she'll actually go to him. Now, if you're going to buy two, I recommend a Jake and a hen decoy. Then in that scenario, I would put the decoys at 20 yards from the blind or where you're set up, because that bird should end up right in front of that decoy. Something else to remember, when you're setting up your decoys, typically I'll face the hen. Okay, if I expect the turkeys to come from my right, I'll place the hen facing left, and I'll face the Jake facing me. Because for this reason, when that bird comes in, you want him to think that the hen is going away from him, to give him the illusion of, if he doesn't hurry up, she's gonna leave. Okay, so you're trying to set this picture in his mind. The hen is leaving, he's coming as quickly as he can, but there's an intruder. Your Jake decoy is currently obtaining this hen's attention. So I face him towards me, because the bird will always come around one way or another, whether he makes a full circle or comes right between me and the decoy, and he'll want to look it in the face. Same with deer. And for that reason, if you're set up, say, by a tree, and the bird catches you off guard, shows up, and you aren't quite ready, and you need to get your gun up, when that bird normally is strutting, he will go full circle, and at least, it's not a sure bet, but at least gives you a chance in those last few moments to capitalize on the situation. If that bird is dominant and he's strutting, he's going to turn, his tail fan's going to completely hide his head, and then you'll be able to lift your gun and make the shot like that. So it's something to keep in mind. We do get into some more technical decoy strategies. If you're new to this, take the time. We're going to be uploading these other videos, and just watch them. You might not have the funds or the experience to implement any of them, but if you listen to what we've learned and the mistakes we've made first, in the end it's going to make you a better hunter faster, because you'll be taking everything that we had, putting it in the back of your mind, and as you see things, as you turkey hunt, the links will start connecting themselves. So last thing before we go for today is I want to just walk you through the average turkey hunt for us and try to get you boosted as we go turkey hunting. So this is what we would do. The evening before we turkey hunt, we typically try to find birds. Now, it doesn't always work. You get some crazy weather, can push them out of the fields. You get a lot of hunting pressure, can push them out. You don't have fields. But for a general rule of thumb, we will go to wherever we're planning on hunting the next morning and try to locate the birds. We have two options pretty much. See them in a field and look where they go, or wait till 15, 20 minutes before dark at the earliest, and either wait for them to make noise or try to roost the bird, as we would call it, and call to them a little bit and get them to answer you. Now, you have to watch. Some states, like the day before the opener, they don't allow calling, so that's something to keep in mind. But those are the general rule of thumbs. Then in the morning, we'll get there a half hour before sunrise, go to wherever the bird was. If we're hunting a field edge, we'll be on the field edge that they went in on, because a lot of times wherever the bird went in will be where the bird come out. Now, if you're in the timber and the bird makes noise, that gives you, in the evening, that would give you an idea on where to start. So use those two scenarios back and forth. Both have a little wiggle room, but that's the general rule of thumb. Okay, then in the morning, you get there, you set up your decoys, whether it be one or two, in the scenario we talked about. And as the sun starts to come up, the birds are singing, and we typically like to wait until the bird makes some noise. He'll gobble, or the hens will start calling, and then you want to start with real soft, they call them tree yelps. There's plenty of videos, we might even get one on that you can look up. Just real soft yelps to let that bird know you are there, and to make sure that he knows you're the first one awake and you're the first one ready to see him. If he's gobbling, you need to answer him. Now, we don't go too crazy. I see a lot of people, they'll come into the woods hunting beside us and they just call and call and call, and the bird knows that's not right. The bird is used to that hen waking up, hearing him gobbling, answering him a couple times to make sure he knows she's there, and then he waits to hear a fly down. So we'll call a little bit, shut up, wait till it's plenty light enough and you know that that bird can get out of the tree. Then we'll do either a fly down, there's fly down cackles, and we'll do that, mix it with a little bit of beating your hat on your leg, or actually using a fly down wing. And now hopefully you've started off with this bird and he's lonely and you're the closest hen, and he'll start gobbling, you'll hear him fly down, and the textbook scenario would be that within 20 minutes of being there, that bird comes right to your decoys, you shoot him, you have a successful hunt and an awesome memory, and you go home. Now, flip side of that, which happens a lot as a turkey hunter, the season depends on where they're at in their breeding cycle. He could have 15 hens in the tree right beside him that he's been with for 2 weeks, and there'll be no chance of pulling him off. But you don't know that without being there, so that's why we go hunting. That's why they call it hunting and not getting, is it's a risk. But you go into the woods, you're set up, you call to this bird, he answers you a couple times. If he hits the ground, shuts up, don't immediately think that he's gone forever. Older birds will do that. They'll hit the ground, not make a lot of noise, come quietly to check out the situation, and if you're moving around thinking it's over, it's for sure going to be over when he spots you before you spot him. So we always give it about an hour and a half before we'll make a move and do something different. But a lot of times if he don't come to you, that means he already had hens from the previous evening, and he will disappear. Now, there's a couple tactics that you could employ after that. It depends on whether your state allows all-day hunting. It depends on, if you have multiple chances to get out. A lot of times for us, with the farm, we have a lot of free mornings just for that couple hours while the dew's on, and we will actually pull out the first couple days and just quit hunting for the day. But if you're on strict vacation time, or it's the weekend or whatever, and you want to continue hunting, here's some options. If your state allows all day hunting, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. or 3 p.m., an awesome time to find a bird. If you could slip out of there and come back just before lunchtime, and I would use the box call, I would make some loud locating yelps, try to find that bird, because those hens he had in the morning, typically late morning, will go to lay an egg, and he'll be alone for those couple hours of the day, the midday. If your state shuts down at noon, like Pennsylvania does for the first half of the season, sometimes if you know where the birds are going, or you have the advantage of hunting on field edges, you could relocate to an area that you've seen them more in the late morning. I mean, they continue to move through the day, so if you do your scouting and you do your prep work, you're going to find the birds are here at 7 a.m. and here at 8 and here at 9. We've done that. We've moved around. You sneak out of the woods, go around the field to the other side, knowing that right before noon, they typically show up there. And there's a lot of options, but those are two general rules of thumb. I mean, you can move on this bird, try it again, try to call to him, wait on a later date and come back hoping that he's alone. Or if the afternoon is a really powerful time, if your state allows it and you have the time off, it's definitely worth thinking about. So I think that's going to sum up this video. This will be considered 101. I tried to just walk you through the basics, not get too advanced, and we're going to advance from here. So if you're new to this, keep watching and make sure you tune in for them other videos, because It's going to be worth your time. As you see stuff hunting turkeys, it'll start to link what I've said together, and you'll become that much better, that much faster. If you like the video, please like and subscribe. We'd appreciate it. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments. We'll do our best to answer them or help you out as best as we can. And we'll see you here next time on Toth Outdoor Productions.